on the air.
We're on the air. All right. Welcome to Jim and Friends Read the News. My name is Jim Van Vunder, and I'm the producer of this show. The things you will hear over the next hour represent the views of Jim and Friends Read the News and the people making them. All opinions and quotations in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. Hello, everybody. This is Jim Van Vunderen, and I'm with Zav LaPlay and Pat Crawford today.
How's it going?
All right. Today is August 11th, 2012, and the last day of the Olympics today.
Oh, yeah.
The Olympics come to a close today.
Finally.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. I guess. I don't know.
And since we're on sports, I like to put my Packers news in there. Bad news. The Packers lost their first exhibition game, and even more important, Desmond Bishop, one of their star linebackers, could be out the season.
Wow.
He's going to have to go under surgery and not looking good. They also signed Cedric Benson, who is a running back. Just signed him today. But maybe things will turn out better when they get a better look at Desmond Bishop, but not looking good.
Yeah.
And that always happens in exhibition.
Yeah, I mean, do you actually count exhibition games?
No. The only you just try not to get people hurt. It's all you care about in exhibition.
Yeah.
But so that's our Packer news. If
you're a fan of the Packers, more in-depth Packers.
Oh yes.
We have a show called Packerverse, the Packerverse.
Stay tuned for the Packerverse.
That's on Wednesdays at 7.
Wednesdays at 7.
Packerverse.
And I would like to say today we have a special guest, Murray, who comes back from Cuba. Just toured Cuba with Solidarity Rock, and hey Murray. So please let us know how the Cuba was.
Hey, so yeah, I just got back. It was great. We were there for like a week and a half and played 7 shows with Milwaukee's very own punk band Uh-Oh. Some people I've been friends with for a long time. They're the first U.S. punk band that's ever made it down to Cuba.
That's awesome.
I guess this is the first time there's ever been a connection between the scene there and the scene in this country.
Right.
It's by way of this Canadian guy, Drew, who lives in Edmonton, and he does this organization called Solidarity Rock. Somehow he met this Cuban guy, and they started working together and doing it.
So let me ask you this. You say it's the first time American punk has come to Cuba? Pretty much?
In the way of a live band.
In the way of live band touring.
Yeah.
So have, for example, German punk bands or Canadian punk bands been through Cuba?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense then, that there's connections maybe, through the Canadians to the Cubans. I see.
But yeah, because America still has that how many year old stupid trade embargo
that started probably.
JFK started that, I think.
Yeah, it was probably started under JFK. And they've been trying to bring it back, loosen it, but it's still there. Well, so tell us, Murray, a little bit about the experience.
So we use a school bus that arrived in Cuba from Pastors for Peace, when they do the caravan to Cuba, I think it's called.
Right.
So there's 2 Cuban bands, a punk band and more of a hardcore metal band, and a Canadian band. So the Canadian band was Previous Tenants, and one of the Cuban bands was Aditox, and the other one was Arabio. And we went around, it was great. You know, Aditox kept saying to me, this is such a dream come true, to be able to do a tour like this. Normally we're on the side of the road hitchhiking to try to get to the next gigs, and it's not like we have gigs set up even. We just show up and then figure it out.
Oh, I see. And
really
what kinds of places?
Winging it.
What kinds of venues?
A lot of them were cultural centers. And then there was also other times, different places that had a stage. It was almost always outdoors, like an open air thing. And like cultural centers and other places with stages. I don't know, just bars that are some weird spot that had an
Right.
outdoor stage we could set up on.
Stages you could find.
Yeah.
Did the
Interesting.
authorities give you any trouble?
They did not.
Because you were American? Or
No.
Was there any anything questioning about how American, or did they know?
My impression is that the Cuban government is sensitive to Americans traveling there and wants to treat them well.
Okay.
It can be kind of tricky getting through customs and stuff with all that band equipment.
Oh yeah.
Raised a lot of
especially
questions,
that.
but we just got we breezed right through it, and they were
Did
very
they know you were
helpful.
coming? Was there some
Yeah.
sort of like letter written to the embassy or something?
Yeah, and we got special visas, like, I don't know, cultural ambassador visas or something, and
Oh,
applied
okay.
saying we're playing music.
Uh-huh.
So were those are those like Canadian visas then? Since you had to
Cuban.
kind of
Cuban.
Okay, but
We also
because you had to come through the way of Canada though.
Yeah.
right? Okay.
we also requested from a U.S. agency a permit to go there
Okay.
to do this like cultural thing, cultural exchange.
Okay.
And when we got back, we actually found out they gave it to us.
Oh wow.
Interesting. Well, that's good.
Yeah. That's
So it does
kind of-
show like that there's a kind of
Yeah, that's I think
softening of the embargo a little bit.
as far as I know,
there.
that's unheard of.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Or it's just
Yeah.
Very rare.
Maybe
or hard.
yeah.
It's not common for sure.
maybe when Audio Slave played in Havana, they got it. I don't know.
Yeah. So which parts of Cuba did you go to?
Sancti Spiritus was like the our home base.
Yeah.
And we got to hang out there for a few days, and we'd leave and go play a show somewhere and come back. We played in Santa Clara. That was a really cool place. That's like a really cultural, liberal place in Cuba. They had a really cool venue there.
Uh-huh.
They do like stuff every night. They do trova night, like the traditional Cuban music. They do rock night. They do like a gay drag show night. They do a cabaret. They do like a variety show where the people work there put on whatever kind of show they want.
All right.
Like they do like a dance night. We played
Oh, they
in
really mix it up.
yeah, we played in Trinidad. That was a really cool cultural center when we walked in there to set up to check it out when we first arrived in the daytime. They're like playing this awesome, really fast hardcore metal, and there's this big tattoo party. All these people are getting tattooed. It's like, this is the punkest place ever.
Tattoo.
That was really cool.
So did you see a lot of punks in Cuba? Is the punk aesthetic or the punk style?
No, the reggaeton style reigns supreme.
Uh-huh.
Just at
Right.
the shows, you see the punks, and then, after the show in the park, all the punks are hanging out still. But so we played in a tiny little town called Haiti Bonico, an important sugar processing town, but that was like the little towny town we played in. Played in Cienfuegos and Matanzas. We played a show in Havana, and I'm trying to think of. I think I got everything.
And you were sort of like helping with the band traveling around and intro. You were sort of like an MC a little bit for the shows.
I found that role for myself as we went along.
And were the other members of the band, were they Spanish speaking, or how many people were Spanish speaking in your group?
It was minimal. They couldn't really, a few things.
Yeah.
You're like, few travelers, where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
I want a beer.
Yeah.
But no, I really helped everybody communicate a lot.
Oh, that's
I
good.
think it
And
was
now
really-
I've heard that the Cuban Spanish is the easiest one to understand.
No, it's
or
the
it's the hardest
hardest
one to understand.
Definitely
I know
the
it's one or
hardest.
the other. Hardest one. And
Yeah.
Mexican Spanish is the easy one.
A lot
Or
easier.
Guatemalan Spanish.
Guatemalan's considered really easy, yeah.
Oh, okay. So tell us now, communism is horrible, right? It's a terrible, terrible world. Everything's horrible there, and America's great. It's a great country compared to Cuba.
Was that your impression?
Life is so terrible there, and everyone is just completely miserable
So-
because of communism.
Solidarity Rock is apolitical. It's just about bringing people together to rock out. And
Culture, not politics.
So I guess I'll talk about my impressions
Uh-huh.
aside from being a part of Solidarity Rock.
Right.
And I guess that's that. Cuba's really complicated, just like this country.
Yeah.
I always figure, you know, this country maybe does things on a larger scale, does really great things and really terrible things on a larger scale.
Yeah.
And Cuba,
Well, it's much bigger, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Cuba is probably the size of one small state.
yeah, the U.S. has tons of money to
Yeah.
throw around to do these
Right.
great things and terrible things.
Right.
And Cuba has no money, but they do the best they can
Mm-hmm.
and to do some good things and some bad things.
Right.
But yeah, you know, they got free healthcare. They got
Yeah.
they get paid very little, you know, and
Have you been to a comparable country, say, have you been to Guatemala or to Mexico or something comparable to Cuba where the system is different but the economy is about the same? And could you compare how life is?
you know, I've been to places where it's kind of similar, but the economy's just different. You know, I've been to really poor countries like Guatemala and Indonesia.
Yeah.
There's food everywhere.
Yeah.
Huh.
In Cuba, they're always like, you go up to the place and you're like, all right, so you got ham and cheese pizza and ham and cheese sandwiches.
Mhm.
I'm a vegetarian, so it's like, I'll take a cheese pizza.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no more pizza.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I'll get a cheese sandwich.
Uh-huh.
Hold on, let me check. Nope, sorry, can't do that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll have an ice cream cone for dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the grocery stores, I mean, can you just walk into a grocery and grab some stuff that way, or?
Yeah, but you'd be getting stuff you'd have to cook at home.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of bare essentials: beans, eggs, and rice, and
Uh-huh.
and vegetable oil.
Right.
They had the fancy grocery stores are few and far between.
Uh-huh.
I saw one in Havana, and I heard that there was one in Varadero, which is also a resort beach place.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta go to the resorty areas to find those amenities.
Yeah.
Did you see a disparity between rich and poor in Cuba much?
I think so, but it's hard to tell.
Mhm.
Cubans dress so fly. It's
Uh-huh.
amazing. And I tried to talk to people like, you know, when you say you're going to Cuba, people are like, make sure you bring clothes
Uh-huh.
and toothbrushes and soap to help the people out.
Oh, right,
and,
right.
And sure, you know, I brought some stuff, but man, I mean, clothes, like they got a lot cooler clothes than any of us got.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
you know, I guess the idea is that they're skipping on food to be able to look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're plagued by
Dignity is important, like your appearance.
yeah, dignity on one hand, and then I think they're also plagued by vanity, and that's a part of the reggaeton
Uh-huh.
vibe.
Oh, okay.
But
What is reggaeton?
oh, that's this. I guess it's born out of Puerto Rico, but it's something that Latin youth can really call their own, or Latino youth. It's like got a funky beat.
Mhm.
Can you do it? Can we all? Can it's like boom, boom, boom.
Let me pause this.
Oh.
Because we've got this iTunes going at
Oh,
the same
yeah.
time.
There you
Okay,
go.
how does it go?
It's like doom, 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 doom. And now I can't quite get it. I don't know. And it's
Maybe
but
I'll
it's like,
I'll find a sample while you talk.
yeah, do that. It's
Yeah.
really fast rapping in Spanish, sometimes in English. It's like Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, those guys, Looney Tunes, the name of another guy. It's like that Shakira song, Hips Don't Lie. But that's a mild version of it.
Well, here's a little piece of some reggaeton randomly grabbed
Right. All right.
on YouTube.
So they mostly sing about sex and looking good and
Like-
money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. More on the vanity front.
Welcome.
I don't know if
to
this is reggaeton at all.
Word.
It does say remix.
Please
but who knows?
enter correct password to activate the program.
And so, but you see, there's cars around, so you got to figure anybody who has a new car has to be somehow be way ahead of everybody else. But it's confusing how that works. But definitely, there's an elite
Right.
of politicians,
Well,
athletes. There you go.
Yeah.
when I went to Cuba in 1991 with the Cuba Caravan, the first Cuba Caravan. I believe it was the first one. And the thing about Cuba is that they are not only I mean, there's this embargo, so they're starved. I'm not sure they have an oil shortage. They're basically dealing with the same problems that we're all going to be dealing with in the future. That's what that documentary, The Power of, what is it called? The Power of, it'll come to me, but there's a documentary all about how the Cubans have been dealing with an oil crisis since 1991, which was when Castro came out and said that it was a special period.
The special period.
And that's a period of time where the people had to figure out how, because of the something to do with when the Berlin Wall fell.
And they lost the Soviet Union.
And they lost the Soviet Union as like a kind of like
right.
lifeline.
A
lifeline for them. That was gone, and then they had to
their big brother.
deal with having like a massive oil shortage. And so then, I mean, the Cubans have never really been able to exist properly because America has this like their foot on the supply line of the country.
Right.
And so that it's like you could say, oh well, you know, it's not just about the economic system. It's about the fact that this country is like a pariah. It's just been like pushed away and not allowed. And if you dock in Cuba, then the United States won't allow your ship to dock in the United States or something like that. So it's very hard to do trade with Cuba because you're not allowed to dock a ship in the United States that's docked in Cuba.
Right.
That's part of the blockade.
That really needs to be lifted. That's so.
Yeah.
I mean, why? Is there really any reason for it? I guess Castro.
Well, they say that.
Which Castro's in charge now? The brother?
Raul.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something I always keep in mind with Cuba is how hard it is for them.
Right.
There's a lot of people, I think, I got the impression, a lot of people who are happy there, who really appreciate the things that the revolution have brought them.
Yeah.
In terms of education and Cuba's always comparing itself to the rest of Latin America.
Yeah.
And I would do that too, you know, I'd think about what I've seen in a place like Guatemala and Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got the impression that Cubans in general have gotten that opportunity to get a good education and I got
that impression too. I mean, when I went there, my impression was, I can't really describe it as being better, but it was different in a lot of ways that were better. And then there was a thing kind of like what you're talking about. There was a sense of maybe shortages. There was definitely shortages when I was there.
That was a crazy
time. They were
time.
making steak recipes using grapefruit instead of steak.
Huh.
So we'd be eating grapefruit.
Using the peels.
Yeah, or they would chop it was everything but the peel, actually. It was the inner grapefruit, and they would use it like meat in recipes. But again, it's like, well, they were being cut off from resources. So does that mean that the Cuban Revolution failed because the United States, you know, they live right next door to this giant enemy that doesn't allow them to really function properly? But there was also just a sense of something seemed at ease and comfortable there that I don't experience. Like in Guatemala, for example, I felt very uncomfortable and scared to be in the streets and stuff, and it felt very and the city was, you know, you saw depths of humanity that you don't see in America, like scary lows of poverty.
Yeah.
And also the threat of violence from the state you felt more in Guatemala. I felt that. I mean, everything's subjective. I don't know. And these are different eras. This was probably like 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So everything changes too. And everything's complicated.
That's
like you said, you know, everything's complicated. No, there's no such thing as like a utopia among all these places.
But I'm glad punk music from America got to make it.
The punk scene there is so awesome because those kids are just so earnest. It's so hard for them to get those kinds of instruments. And so a lot of people are in bands, they don't have their own instruments. They have to borrow one to practice.
Oh man.
Or that's not even an option.
It is.
They just don't. They can't be in a band yet.
Jeez.
So Solidarity Rock brings instruments down there. The bands bring instruments, and we leave them.
Oh, cool. So is
Very
this
cool.
something that someone's is it Solidarity Rock is not just it's not just a band, it's a kind of cultural exchange that your group has begun?
Yeah, and they've done this a few times. They've done a few tours already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so before it was not punk though.
It was Canadian
was.
punk bands.
Oh, I see. But this was the first time American punk bands came.
Yeah.
I see. So do you think are you going to go again, you think, next year or something?
I want to go again, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I loved it. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done.
And so was it difficult to go? I mean, you finally did get the okay, but was it difficult to go? You had to go to Canada and then go to Cuba? Because you can't fly out of America to Cuba, obviously.
Correct. You just got to leave the U.S. And the one tricky thing, I guess, for anybody out there who wants to do that is you got to figure out how to get your plane tickets. You can't use your U.S. credit card to do that. You either are gonna have to pay cash at the travel agency, or have a friend from a different country buy the tickets for you.
Wow.
Oh,
Never thought of that part.
That makes sense.
As far as I know, that's how it works.
That's confusing. So what airline did you use?
WestJet.
Is that a Cuban airline?
I think it's Canadian.
Canadian? Oh, okay.
But
Huh.
I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
So, I wanted to make a comment when you said how in Cuba it does seem like they're at ease and there's some really great things going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the comment that one of the guitar players in Uh-Oh made, my roommate Jim. He said, in this country, there's an excess of consumer culture and maybe a lack of culture.
Oh, yeah.
And in Cuba, there's an excess of that kind of culture and a lack of things to consume.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've often said that third world countries, the thing that I've noticed is that in third world country, what is it? There are third world countries and they're economically deprived. But when I go to a lot of these places, or the places I've been personally, what I notice is that America is a third world country spiritually in certain ways. That in a certain way here in America, there's a lack of spirituality. There's a lack of that thing that just exists in life without a financial exchange that's not materialistic.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times too. Thank you. A lot of the times too, I think people just take things for granted in the United States, because we have all this stuff we can easily access versus third world countries,
Yeah.
It's a cloak of technology that covers the normal when you don't have technology to keep you occupied. You got to find other things to do.
Yeah.
With that in mind, it was really cool to see these punks being so grateful for anything they could get, any kind of music or instruments.
Yeah, and in a weird way that there's something about the like when something isn't just easy to get, you appreciate it more. It sounds as though they are sort of in a situation where it's like they're so hungry for this like cultural difference that they can get their hands on. And in America, people would not be so hungry for a Cuban band to come through Milwaukee. I mean, actually, they would be in a certain way. I think certain people would really be just like blown away to have a Cuban band, or Buena Vista Social Club, for example, was a huge enlightenment for a lot of people, that documentary that was made. But I think in America, people take it for granted. They get just excess of everything. And maybe when you don't get to have things as much, you appreciate them more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
That
that's
only
true.
makes sense.
Yeah. Well, any last thoughts, Murray, about your experience?
I don't know. You got any other questions for me?
Well,
it was really fun. We made a lot of great friends.
yeah.
Brought American punk to Cuba, which
Yep.
is huge. And Solidarity Rock, I'm going to put a link on there to it. Actually,
Cool. My email?
Yeah.
Right now?
And
Yeah.
I'll send you a link to the show later.
Okay, cool.
You don't have to
Thanks,
say it on
Murray.
there. But thank you very much. That was awesome. Glad you happened to be here right
yeah,
at
it just
the right
happened.
time.
We were about
Right
to
at the
start
right
our
time.
show, and Murray came up and told us he just
My-
came back from this amazing trip.
My pleasure. The band was on the radio twice in Cuba,
Oh, really?
so this is my chance now.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Well,
All right.
thanks. We're
All right.
lucky to have you here.
Cool.
Yes, we'll get
Thank
the word
you.
out. Solidarity
Talk to you
Rock.
soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so, well, we're moving right along with our news show here.
With the news and so
Justin has
Justin
arrived.
Prop has entered the building with Duke. Hold on.
Dude.
Oh, Duke just hit. We got Justin there. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
And you guys maybe just hold the mic is easier than using the stand.
Yeah, at this point probably.
So,
I've one other thing.
you want the Olympic
the
medal?
Olympic medal count, because we've been very national. We're speaking of nationalities
Right,
and
and-
pride here. We've been very
Well-
prideful for America. We wanna beat those Chinese.
Yeah. And we did.
We did. Woo! Oh,
Even
yeah,
though
America.
I'm not an American citizen, but America got a total of 104 gold medals
Medals.
in general, and also dominated in golds.
All right.
46 gold medals,
Compared
29
to?
silver medals. 46 compared to 38 from China.
Oh man, it was neck and neck until the very end there. We must have had some.
We wiped the floor.
Yeah, this weekend was great for Americans.
I didn't watch any of the Olympics. So.
I didn't either because I don't have TV.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't very easily accessible on the internet, from what I could tell.
Yeah, I didn't try the internet. Although I do know that Milwaukee was the second most tuned in of cities of watching the Olympics,
Really?
behind Salt Lake City, Utah, for some reason.
Oh.
So Milwaukee was watching the Olympics
You know what that says, Milwaukee? You're watching way too much television.
and not listening to enough radio.
Exactly. Yeah.
With that though, I also saw another thing about people giving the axe to cable on television. So I don't know where that article is. I'd have to flip through here, but internet obviously replacing that, as we have an internet radio show and you are on the internet right now listening to this.
Yeah.
And
It's replacing
your
cable.
and you can get your television shows from the same source you're getting this fine radio show.
Right.
I mean, it's not too hard to get some TV off this
Off the-
same device.
Yeah. Off
Hook up your big screen with an
interweb.
HDMI cable, and
Yep.
you're good to go. But I shouldn't be saying that. I work for cable.
Oh, that's right. Well, you work for public access though, which is a
Right.
kind of it's almost like
It's like internet on cable.
it's like anti-cable.
Yeah. Although we are also on the internet. You can also get Matta Community Media or Milwaukee Community Media on the internet as well. So as you're listening to this, if you want to get some fine Milwaukee Community TV, MilwaukeeCommunityMedia.com.
Matamedia.org.
Yes, which will redirect you
To
MilwaukeeCommunityMedia.com. But either way,
And for people who don't understand public access, which I suppose a lot of people do understand it, but it's kind of an antidote to regular cable in a sense. It's something that the cable companies don't want.
right.
It's something that was mandated by the FCC because of
government.
public people, because of public pressure to give people a chance to be on television.
Because they have
Give
to
them a
use
spot.
they have to use public easements and property in order to run their cable.
Right.
Which was the reasoning for that.
Yeah.
So public property was used.
and
You
of
have to give
course-
some of it back.
Yeah, and arguably now with everything being on the internet, they could probably argue that you don't even need to do that anymore.
They're trying to,
Yeah.
and they've been putting their lobbyists in play. I was there when they were doing that in 2008, and helped get rid of. There used to be a separate 1% of their sales that went to public access, and in 2008 they were successful, at least in the state of Wisconsin, of getting that cut, so they no longer have to pay that. They still pay a franchise fee, which is 5% to the local municipalities, but the local municipalities don't necessarily have to use that money on having a public access channel. That's up to them.
Oh, I see. It's
That's
up to
what
them.
happened to West Dallas.
Correct.
Yeah, it was like close to, what was it? It was like $500,000 that they were getting from franchise fees. I forgot.
I don't even know
then,
exactly, but it was.
West Dallas was asking for $50,000.
It was a little over $500,000. I think it was about 7,500,000, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was like the city channel. Their city channel got $360,000 a year to operate.
Right.
And then the public access channel was asking for $50 and 25 minimum just to stay open. Yeah, and they're like, no, couldn't help you. Wish we could.
You gotta question some of the thoughts and logic going on in our politicians, especially at the local level. I feel. I mean, at all levels, really, but
they want to be on TV.
Well, I guess not that much because they had a chance. But anyway, MilwaukeeCommunityMedia.com or metamedia.org. Both will bring you to the same site. You can watch community-made television for the community by the community. I got some.
Oh yeah, you got some comments.
Speaking of the community,
in our little box that people drop off comments once in a while.
We got right here, Dear River West Radio, could you please make mention to the Dainty Rogues Steampunk Burlesque show happening at the Miramar Theater on Saturday, August 25th. It's at 10 p.m. It will be a sexy steampunky extravaganza, and I will love you forever if you could, Brandy Lamping.
Oh,
so
okay.
Brandy will be at the steampunk show for anyone out there who looking for a sexy steampunky extravaganza. Miramar, Saturday, August 25th at 10 p.m.
What is steampunk? I always I forget this. You know?
It's I have no clue, man. I don't know.
It's cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but it's steampunk is the future envisioned by everything running on steam.
Yeah, okay.
Steam power rules it all.
Right.
So think Mad Max, but with steam.
Yeah, okay, now I remember that.
If you think of, there are certain movies, like Tom Waits has been in steampunky types of movies, where it's a future, but it's a future that was sort of visioned at the turn of the century. So it's sort of like you take that turn of the century, like Around the World in 80 Days world.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like inventors are making things with steam engines, but then you're transported into like 2050 or something. So a lot of things are made of wood still, and like people wear kinds of clothes from that
leather,
era. And,
like kind of leather.
Yeah, there's leather. Yeah, there's use of leather and everything looks like World War I era or something. Mm-hmm. It's like World War I era futurism and punkyism. Punk. It's sort of a fashion, or it's just sort of an aesthetic or something from that era transported into the future. That's how I understand it to be. That's what I understand it to be. Yeah.
So that. Thank you, Brandy, for that. Next comment. Hi. Wish you were here when Leslie brought us by. I do a radio show too at BostonFreeRadio.com. Hate to give the competitors some stuff.
Yeah.
BostonFreeRadio.com, but
please.
That sounds check them out.
We should link to them.
They sound good. Free radio. On Tuesday at 5 p.m., 4 p.m. our time. It's called Radio Mainsea Museum, and she's called Megan McNeely, and she's going to be moving to Milwaukee in the spring, and is going to listen for the show, and maybe she'll have a show when she comes here.
I hope so.
So
I hope she joins us.
Be on the lookout for that, but also there is a BostonFreeRadio.com.
That's good to know.
For anyone looking
for
another
No, definitely we want to collaborate with as many free radio, community radios as possible.
Or at least start fights with them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we can fight.
We are in the I think the business time where collaboration is king, I think.
Oh, are you talking about on the corporate level or like
on all levels?
Okay, because you do have this thing like
because everything
you have the River West Co-op, and then you have the Public House, and then you have People's Books.
Yes.
They're all cooperatives. They're creating a cooperative for cooperatives in River West, and all of that sort of it does kind of like feed on itself.
And it's so easy nowadays for it all to be linked together.
Yeah.
And I think it's just it just makes sense.
Right. And I mean, in a world
partnerships are, especially in the economic times we're in, partnerships make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, it helps to have friends and to combine forces and so on. Any more messages?
There is one more message. This doesn't have an author, but apparently when God gives you lemons, find a new God. Unless you like lemons, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with getting lemons?
As a matter of fact, if you're a God, if you're a believer in God, God did give you lemons. Because God gives you everything.
I'm not
but
I
think what it means is, when God gives you, they mean when you, when things go wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go ahead and just disagree with them.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Teach his own.
When you get your lemons, just be happy you got lemons. It's all right.
Be happy you got anything, really, right?
Right. I don't know.
No matter who gave it to you.
I like my lemons. Anyway.
One of the things we wanted to talk about, or actually I wanted to talk about, was the proper pronunciation of the word Sikh, which I call Sikh, S-I-K-H. I should say the proper pronunciation of the word S-I-K-H, which is this religious group that, of course, has had a lot of attention in the media lately. And I've been watching, when I go to my mom's house, I watch WTMJ, or I forget which one, maybe one of these channels.
All of them, I think.
Fox 6 News, I think. And they keep saying Sikh. They just Sikh. They don't say Sikh. And I've always understood it to be Sikh. And then I was listening to Democracy Now!, which is a much more
Sikh on the news so far.
You've only heard Sikh, and I was surprised to hear Amy Goodman on Democracy Now! Say Sikh.
Oh, she said that?
Yeah, and so I was kind of like, well, you would think she'd be more tuned into the way it should be pronounced or something, but I've heard her pronounce things weirdly too. So anyway, we went to dictionary.com to hear their pronunciation. So here's how it's pronounced on dictionary.com. Maybe I could.
It's the dictionary, Tom.
What's that?
It's the dictionary, so yes.
It's a dictionary, son, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Actually, okay, here it comes. It's just slow, but I think I had it up before.
Sikh.
Oh, there.
Yeah, Sikh.
So you guys heard that, right? It's Sikh.
It sure did.
Let me press that again.
Sikh.
Yep.
Sounds like Sikh.
That's the way Dr. Muhammad Sabir said it.
That sounded like
me.
Sikh to you, right, Justin?
Yeah.
Now here's a YouTube version, and this one is sounds like a Sikh person saying it, not a Sikh person.
Sikh.
You hear that?
Say one more time.
Let me do it louder.
Turn it to 11.
Sikh. Sikh. Yep. That's Sikh. All right, so all you professional
news reporters,
go.
No, but you said that you read something about this pronunciation thing that it is okay to pronounce Sikh.
I didn't find where it was, but I can remember what the guy said. It was in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. There was a reporter who was also as bedazzled or not befuddled. That's the word, befuddled, as you were about this pronunciation that he was hearing. And he said, so he did some digging into it and actually just called, I think, the people at the temple, and they informed him that it was okay to pronounce it both ways. So apparently they're fine with either pronunciation. However, I don't know.
However, I would bet that Sikh people pronounce it Sikh.
Right. I think he was just being nice to everyone else, messing it up, personally. But, so, I don't know. I say we should all get on the Sikh train on that one. So, Sikh it is. But speaking of the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, unless we got more about the Sikhs, I think we figured it out.
Oh, no. The only other thing was I had this other one that's been bothering me, which is that Barack Obama, and it seems like everyone else, newscasters newscasters do this thing where they say, when they talk about Afghanistan, which I would just call Afghanistan, it seems like you're speaking English, you don't need to speak a different language when you say a certain country.
But it's more fun.
They say, I mean, I have heard Barack Obama in a speech say talk about Pakistan and call it Pakistan, but then when he gets to Afghanistan, he calls it Afghanistan. And he always calls it Afghanistan. And then I've heard...
I think he wants to just throw the accent
lots of news
there.
reporters call it Afghanistan.
Yeah, I think they're just having fun saying Afghanistan.
I just don't understand why, if you're going to call it Afghanistan, then you should call it Pakistan as well.
Yes.
But I actually think you should just call it Pakistan.
Right, and Afghanistan.
And Afghanistan, because you're American. You don't need to try to pronounce it the other way.
No, well...
How did Clinton say Kosovo? You remember that? It was like Kosovo.
Kosovo.
It was just like it was kind of southern, however he said it.
Kosovo.
Yeah, it was like Kosovo.
Kosovo.
I just remember that when I worked at TV channel.
You know, people in the South are lazy, so they
yes.
They don't pronounce things correctly. Or they're just too lazy to try.
I would be worried, but we don't have any Southern listeners because they're too lazy to learn.
Well, they don't know how to use a computer.
Exactly.
Definitely not upsetting anyone now.
Well, of course, and like River West people are so like proactive, like on top of everything.
Oh, right. Anyway, I'm wondering if what's his name? Paul Ryan is going to mispronounce stuff now that he is running for vice president.
Now that he's in the big leagues.
Yeah, he's moving on up. So Romney picked Paul Ryan. I think that's. Do we have to say anything else?
Guy with two names, just like Mitt Romney.
There we go. That's right. So
it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah. And they both have good hair. So
all Republicans have good hair.
I saw that on the news today. That was one of their breaking news things. Was people are already tweeting about it. How great their hair is. Best hair since Kerry and John Edwards, which I don't know. I didn't think John Kerry's hair was that good.
No, Kerry had horrible hair.
He had like Frankenstein hair.
It wasn't
something.
It didn't start in the right spot, and it like ended short. You know, it was like
a
big thing.
Yeah, I didn't think. Yeah, but Romney. I do agree with Romney and Ryan's hair. I think they got great hair.
It's amazing to me that people
can
even
you show the hair to the people who might be looking
on political hair
on video.
It's
Look at
amazing to me that people even care.
It looks like Ken doll hair,
right? Yeah, total.
People even care about how their hair looks. I mean, there's bigger issues to worry about. But hey, their hair looks great, so who cares? You know?
Well, the thing is, if you can manage your scalp like these guys, just think what they could do with the country.
Well, Paul Ryan's he's a P90X guy. He reads.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he leads like some members of Congress in like a workout every day. Well, when Congress is in section.
Yeah,
that sounds communist.
The Congress steps or something. He does the steps.
Communist.
Really?
He does the steps, yeah. They go up, runs the step, does the steps.
Mitt Romney does?
No.
Paul Ryan?
Paul Ryan does.
I heard Mitt Romney was a exercise guy too.
He's totally fit to be vice president.
Maybe that's how they got together. They met in the gym.
Yeah.
And they liked each other's workout ethic, and it was like, we got to do this.
It's like, we're going to get in better shape if we're a team.
That's right.
Yeah, let's knock this thing out, dude.
Let me spot you.
Yeah, I'll spot you.
Let me get behind you when you squat.
Right. Give me 2 more. All right.
Yeah.
No, there's a thing came out with Romney. I don't have any. This is off memory, but it was something with I thought it was El Salvador, and then like when he was launching Bain Capital, he took like all this money from people like that were responsible for whatever happened in El Salvador at that time. You know, that movie, the Oliver Stone movie. You know, and
oh yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah. But
okay.
But anyway, he took money from them. Anyway, that's how he got started with Bain Capital, and how he started becoming a billionaire.
You mean that the movie was based on?
Yeah,
because it's all about like a cartel, like a mafia cartel.
Yeah.
Mexican mafia cartel or something.
Oh yeah, they're just responsible for wiping out like all.
Oh yeah. No, it's known that that Bain Capital has relations with people who conducted torture in Latin America.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I just like read that right before I came over. A few hours.
Yeah. Before. On the lighter side, there's a man who's selling Michael Jackson's bird poop.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
He kept it this long?
Yep.
Michael Jackson
he
had
put
bird
the windshield of his car up for auction because it has a bird dropping. He says, looks like the late pop star.
Oh, he has a Michael Jackson poop.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, you definitely want to keep that.
Yeah, that's like having Mary on your toast.
Oh, yeah, right.
Jesus.
Yeah, you don't.
Jesus.
You don't touch that.
It's not painkiller poop.
Yeah,
it's
the king of pop.
It's real bird poop.
When the king of pop shows up on your windshield, that's a sign.
I wonder how much that's gonna sell for on eBay.
That will be. We'll have to keep track of that one.
We have to keep hyping it.
Yes.
The price.
Get on it, people.
Right.
Get on it.
And maybe after this guy sells that, he'll have enough money to go to Florida to join the nudist camp. As the nudist camp hopes a party will attract young adults. Apparently in Loxahatchee, Florida, nudist resorts have a reputation for attracting older adults. So
they just hopefully it'll attract some girls this time. Too,
well, you know. Doesn't say anything about that. They just want younger people. But one Florida park is trying to change the older adults' reputation these nudist camps have. And the South Florida Sun-Sentinel newspaper reported that Sun Sport Gardens will hold a weekend bash aimed at attracting nudists ages 18 to 30. The Florida Young Naturist fourth annual end of summer Naked Bash is slated to be a celebration of nudity and body acceptance. Sun Sport Gardens principal shareholder Morley Schloss told the paper that the park has been trying to bring in younger members with lower prices, 24-hour hot tubs, and the most interesting Friday night drum circles.
Those do go together, though. Somehow it does make sense.
The gathering at the 40-acre Loxahatchee Park, that is a lot of acres of people running around naked, is expected to attract several hundred young adults. Nudist resorts around the country have been working to attract a younger crowd. So if you're a nudist or a naturist out there, just know that they're trying to get the younger people in.
Yeah.
Less grandpas running around in the drum circles.
No, you gotta leave your dogs at home too, because there's too many bare butts around.
That's that's just an accident waiting to happen.
Do you ever see that MTV? I forgot, what was it? The Real Life, or what was that show back like?
Real World.
No, not Real World. It was like this other one. It was like or True something. I don't know. Whatever. It was on MTV though. But it was like they did all these different shows on whatever. Anyway, this one was like My Parents Are Nudists. It was this poor 16-year-old kid, and he wanted to bring his girlfriend over, and she was coming over, and his parents were walking around naked, and It's mainly him just complaining about it, and then
trying to bring a girlfriend over, and parents are like, "Do you want a lemonade?"
I know.
No, I don't. I just gotta mix it.
I don't want anything yellow.
No. Oh man. So well, they're gonna be fixing that. So.
Well, one of the things that we talking about tonight was the Libor scandal, because it's something that isn't hugely known, or it was big news maybe last month. Would you say, Justin?
Hardly though. I mean, it was just mentioned. But
and I guess I follow a lot of alternative news, so I can't really tell how much traction it got.
Like Kaiser Report was talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we both listen to the Kaiser Report a lot, or I do. I listen to it a lot. You listen to it a little?
Here and there, yeah.
Here and there. And a lot of times I listen to it. I don't completely pay full attention to it, but it's always pretty interesting. And I also listen to Democracy Now! They talked a lot about it on there. But let's try to maybe figure or get to the bottom a little bit, explain what Libor is. Do you want to take it, Justin, or should I first explain like the Wikipedia version of what Libor stands for and all that?
Sure. Yeah, it's
okay. Libor is the London Interbank Offered Rate, and what it is the average interest rate estimated by all the leading banks in London, and that estimation is where that rate was messed with, and basically that interest rate can affect all kinds of transactions all over the world.
So I mean, like how was it manipulated? I mean, like exactly how the interest rate was messed with, but I mean, like meaning. What exactly? As far as the victims of this crime had no idea what was going on, so they thought they were getting this interest rate when they could have been getting this one, or I'm not exactly.
Well,
I know that's just
what it says here is that the U.S. Department of Justice is conducting a criminal investigation of into Libor abuses, and among those abuses being investigated is the possibility that traders were in direct communication with bankers before the rates were set.
Okay.
So in a sense, it's kind of like going to the casino and the guy running the casino telling you where the wheel is gonna land on, where it's gonna land.
If it's gonna be up or down.
Yeah, you're gonna know. Yeah, you're gonna know if it's up or down. So basically,
it's insider
it's always
trading.
all the yeah, exactly. It's insider trading. Yes, but it has far-reaching effects, and according to this one interview I saw with Warren Buffett, he was saying basically it's a lot of little, in terms of the amount of money, it's a lot of small amounts, but it's a lot of small amounts. So it's not maybe only $100,000 here or $10,000 there in terms of like what the transaction might have been or the discrepancy, but you're talking trillions of dollars.
That it's holding, or that it's
that were wrong, that were misquoted, and so then either someone. This happened last time where.
We're getting audio from the back.
We would get rings.
That's all right.
Yeah, no, it's just a phone call. But I don't know if someone's trying to call us or not. But anyway, it's considered to be the biggest financial disaster or bad thing that's happened since 2008, and I think that we just haven't seen it hasn't come to the surface yet. The implications of it.
Well, and one thing there, I mean, like those cities in California were going bankrupt, and that's kind of where they're thinking it's going to go, or that's how it's going to eventually work its way down to affect us, is because like the municipalities were. Do you think somebody's trying to call us?
Can we answer it?
We can't really. There's something wrong with the way that the phone is ringing, so we can't answer it.
So if someone's trying to call, sorry. We're on technical difficulty right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
shucks. I guess we have to keep talking. But yeah, no, that was yeah, the municipalities anyway, because they were investing. I mean, they were like securities that that was kind of how it worked, wasn't it? It was like they put their money in.
Is it still going on? Is it like still an investigation going on though, so we can keep up with this as it progresses?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is something that's
It just broke.
You know, like
just broke in the last month.
Okay.
And
you know, a funny whatever. You don't know what it means, but it doesn't mean anything. But it was kind of interesting anyway. Robert Holmes.
Okay.
It's James Holmes' dad. You know, the Batman guy.
Okay.
So Robert Holmes anyway, like he worked for Libor. He was like a computer, like he was a programmer. He wrote software for him, and was since the 80s, I think he's been working for him, or at least no, since just the 2000s. He worked in the early 2000s for him. Anyway, he was set to testify in front of Congress until the Batman thing happened.
Wow.
Yeah, but
he's not going to testify anymore then?
No, I mean, because he was going to be testifying on behalf of the plaintiffs, the people suing Libor.
Oh, and they don't want him anymore.
Yeah, I guess not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're actually almost out of time here.
Yeah, we are. We're almost out of time. Except I don't see Chuck coming in. I don't see
Chuck or Santiago.
Chuck and Santiago.
Well,
so, but we might as well wrap it up anyway.
Yeah.
I know Pat.
Oh, they're here.
Oh, they are here. Okay,
so
good.
we do have to wrap it up quick.
Yeah, we
here.
do have to wrap it up.
So anyway, August 11th, 2012. Thank you, Zav, Justin, Pat, and our special guest Murray earlier. We'll be getting the links on here. Anyone have anything to say before we end it?
More stuff next week. So.
More Libor to come.
We'll talk about the great culling.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. You guys out there listening, go to naturalnews.com and read that article. It's pretty interesting. It's just about basically population control and talking about Bill Gates and some other people trying to get the population of the world down to about 1 billion people. It's pretty scary when you think about it. But yeah, there's a lot of info. There's also video links to some interviews with actually some of these people involved. So
naturalnews.com.
Yeah, they got stuff to back up their writing. So yeah, check that out. Have a good night.
They got great health advice too.
All right.
Oh yeah, that too.
All right, so stay healthy, and until next week, we will talk to you then. Go America!